We're going to be going through the SBC framework. The solution certification goes, we measure actually every solution against the same framework that the buildings are being measured against. So when we certify a building and we see that there's gaps and we see that there's opportunities, things for improvement, we can actually turn to the solutions that match those opportunities and bring them together. We focus on building usage, so very much about the property management's ability to maintain and manage how the asset is being utilized. Building performance talks very much about the sustainability of a building, about the energy consumption, about the water consumption, how well is this building actually performing. Building environment is looking at the health aspects, the indoor environment, the light, the sound, how the different aspects of the environment are impacting health and well-being of people. We have a module on safety and security. Of course, this is both the physical and the digital. So not only are we physically keeping people safe in this space, thinking about surveillance cameras and thinking about different protocols for disaster mitigation, these types of things, but it's also about cybersecurity, right? The more technology that we're bringing into these buildings, the more risk there is for cyber crime and being hacked and these types of things. So cybersecurity is a really big part of the smart building certification. And then finally, user behavior and collaboration. So how are people able to collaborate and find each other, but how are they also able to interact with the building? And how can these buildings adjust and adapt to the different usages needed? So the solution certification basically gives us the insight that we need as an organization to know what is going on in these solutions and to know what's going on in these different partner knowledge bases. The certification solution also helps us with the matchmaking to the buildings, making sure that we are able to fill the gaps, fill the opportunities for buildings, help buildings navigate this very, very complex and full market of prop techs and solutions. But it's not only about matchmaking to buildings, it's also about matchmaking to other solutions. So what we believe is that if we can help solutions find each other earlier in the process, before going into the building, we can actually build holistic smart buildings in a much easier and a much more effective and efficient way. What you see now in where the market is that the building will buy multiple solutions and then they will say, hey, can we piece these together? And that's a much more challenging thing to do than to look at a framework like the smart building certification and build a smart building with the proper partners, proper technology, and then just place it into a building. So the solution certification helps us create meaningful integrations, meaningful partnerships, and help solutions find each other. How about first we'll do an introduction of you and Bisner. Where did you guys start? Where did you guys come from, and where are you now?
Yeah, I'm Stefan. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm currently in Rotterdam and not born and raised here, but nearby. And I'm the founder of Bisner. We exist more than 6 years already. So
one of the early companies in the prop tech space, actually.
Yeah, exactly. We started in 2014 with a different startup, and it has transformed into what we are today.
And what is your elevator pitch for Bisner?
Elevator pitch. I always explain that smart buildings are more difficult than just an elevator pitch, but what we do is we have the one and all app for tenants for better engagement and a better management of the building. So from community to booking places like meeting rooms, desks, parking, up till the billing part. So you can have your contracts in the system and we hook it up to a lot of different software platforms like Outlook, Google, bookkeeping software, access control. So the one all-in-one app that you need for a building to work.
That's it's so interesting to have done the solution certification with you guys. So first of all, huge congratulations on that. It's quite a comprehensive look at everything that you guys are doing. And you guys, from what we can see against all the other kind of smart building solutions that we've certified, it's unique, right? I think what's unique about it is that deep embeddedment into the financial structures, but also your ability to adapt and connect and work with other providers and other solutions, realizing that not everything needs to be done by you, that there's a greater team available to do these things. So what I want to do is I want to go through the SBC framework. And what I love about the SBC framework is that it really looks at it from different stakeholder perspectives as well, right? Which helps us make your solutions, the things that you guys do as a company, very digestible for all of our stakeholders. So the first module of the solution certification is building usage, right? Building usage is how does the Bisner app, or how do you all as an organization help property managers and organizations to get a good handle on how the asset is actually being utilized? Tell us how you guys see that. What is the thing that helps these property managers manage their asset more effectively?
Yeah, so we collect a lot of data with our app. We know who's in the building, when they are in the building, and we know it sometime already in advance before a sensoring or access control knows, because people make their reservation in our app, so we know if they will be present and who they will invite. So we collect a lot of data. It's not only on the desk booking side or the meeting room side, but also on the actual contract data. We know the turnaround of units, for example, that we can see in contract data. We see how space is being used because of events and other stuff. So what we do is we collect all of the data, and we can show that in the reporting in our platform.
So actually, from the financial side, just diving into that again. So if a space is being used, you guys can actually have that be paid space, right, as it's being used. So are you guys actually able to then calculate the ROI on the different spaces already?
Sorry, I had a bad internet connection. If I understand you well, then what you was asking if we can calculate the return on investment of a unit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we can have occupancy reports, and then you can see instantly in one overview of what units are currently occupied, but also when does the contract end? How long did it take for you to fill up this space again? So how long was it empty? What rooms are popular? What rooms are not popular? A shift in people count. So if a company is growing, you can start offering them already maybe other available units in your building. So the data is really a central thing in our platform, and if you use it wisely, then it's really beneficial for you.
Well, I think that's the most interesting thing, right? Is that how that data gets used is always changing, right? And that's the most interesting thing from us for smart buildings is constantly thinking about what's the next way of using it. So you guys also manage. Yeah, go ahead.
So what is interesting is because we match this tenant app for end users with our back office, where you have your contract data, we know much more about a company than just administration@company.com, right? Where you send your invoice for and the contract to. So we know actually the users and the people inside of that company, and if the company is growing, which you normally wouldn't see on just a black and white contract, right? So by matching this data, you see how the companies are operating and how they really use your building. You can really get that together.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then you guys also have the ability to look at kind of the amenities, right? And you also look at parking. You look at kind of the other aspects as well, right? It's not just space. It's it's everything, right? That they're using and utilizing.
Yeah, so you can add amenities when you book a meeting room. You can manage your parking reservations for your employees, so you can make parking subscriptions. You can have credits on guest parking, for example. So yeah, you can set different bookable objects in our platform.
So, advice to a building or a user when thinking about maximizing the usage or improving the usage. What are the most important kind of data pieces that you would say focus on that?
Yeah, the basics are, of course, your occupancy in units. So what units are available for what price. The desk of occupancy rate. Meeting rooms is an interesting one because you can see how they are being used. You know, what we sometimes advise is that larger meeting rooms can maybe sometimes better be cut in half or maybe become a unit. So yeah, this I think are the basics. And then another thing is to look at the engagement in your community of the building.
Yeah.
Um,
So are people happy?
yeah, are people happy? What are they interested in? How do they connect with each other? Because if you're building this, you make your tenants more sticky in the building, and they will become happier and they will rent longer in your building.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that you can't underestimate is you always say occupancy to the rates, right? So I think the other smart solutions that we've seen, there's not a lot that are linking to that financial return. So I think Bisner becomes a really, really powerful tool because it's not only about the occupancy and community, but it's a deeper look at how that growth and how that space is being utilized versus the costs and the revenues that you're making from that space. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and you build your own data. That I think that is important. Also, we noticed over the years that a lot of landlords are not 100% in control over their own data. There are brokers in between that have the context, and you're building up your own CRM and your own waiting list for the units. And yeah, that's I think very nice to have this data.
And what's your philosophy on that as an organization? Do you guys say these are the data structures that we expect you to create, or are you guys flexible in working with the client to say we'll create it based on what you're looking for? I mean, how do you guys go about that?
Yeah, there are a few fixed structures in our platform, but that's like industry standard, like location, building, floor, area, unit. Meeting room flows are a few standardized processes. But for example, our contract flow, you can customize it completely to your own needs. So if you have multiple locations and, for example, on your offer, on your quotation, you want to highlight the benefits of certain locations, you can do that. So yeah, you can go very far in this.
And so thinking single tenant, multi-tenant, co-working, that's all kind of configurable. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. If you have suites with desk, you can rent out one single desk. But if you select 3 desks, then the whole suite of 4 desks will be rented out as a suite. So all of these scenarios are configurable in our system.
Amenities, parking, all of it is configurable based on what you're
Correct.
trying to do. And I think that's, what's interesting is is the smart buildings that we're seeing that are just getting started, right? They're doing things, and you can see some heightened innovation and improvement in different areas. You can see better energy usage. You can see, better indoor environment qualities, these kinds of things. But the buildings and the organizations that have been doing this for a long time, you're talking 4, 5, 6 years, they're coming up with completely new business models. And I think you probably starting to see that quite often with your more kind of the partners you've been dealing with for a long time. They're probably getting pretty creative in what they're doing, or not.
Mhm. Yes. Well, one of the most recent project we have done is completely self with no people inside a building, that you can do everything yourself. So you get access yourself. You get access to the internet. There's no reception anymore. Only
Okay.
the building. So yeah, that was an interesting project to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen that. One of the buildings we certified last year was a hostel that was completely no reception, nobody there, and it was a hotel kind of. So you would check in
Yeah.
through the app and these kinds of things. Really, really interesting. So let's move to the next module. So building performance, right, is all about how well the asset is performing. So we're thinking about sustainability, we're thinking about energy consumption, we're thinking about, water consumption, and how can we make these assets as sustainable as possible. And I know that that is maybe not the core of what Bisner is all about, and more of a byproduct, something that you guys can influence and something that your data supports. Can you share with us how Bisner is supporting kind of the sustainability side of buildings?
Yeah, well, we do have a few integrations on this level. For one is, for example, BGrid, right? With the sensoring technology, you can manage the building air quality, and they also measure then again how the building is being used. So we provide data for it, and that users can control the building out via our. And yeah, we are looking into other kinds of integrations for monitoring CO2 usage, and provide that information back to the community. And this integration goes quite deep, because for a few of our customers, we're quite strong in science parks, like industrial parks, where they use a lot of different kinds of energy, like gas and also other. But they need to have the metering. They should add it then to the contract eventually. So we are building connections there as well, that we connect the smart meter to our contracting data.
Okay. So you can actually see through the app kind of all of that information about your energy consumption, your billing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not in the app yet. Eventually,
Coming.
currently is on the invoice, so you can see how much you have used, and but it's all automatic, and from the smart meter we read the number, and we add that to in our back office to the invoicing again.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and then you really start to get to a holistic financial view on everything building, which again is really interesting, because we always say what you measure and you can manage and you can improve. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we
Nice.
try to visualize it in the app. That we can show how much energy consumption the building has.
Yeah.
So I think if you share that with the community, everybody becomes more aware of it as well.
Yeah, so you guys share that with not only the property management, but you share it with end users of the space to see how they can use it.
Yeah, that's what is currently in development. So that will be
And how do you
launched.
guys make it kind of relevant for them? Like a lot of kind of things we've seen in the past is that, if I see the total energy consumption of a building, it speaks nothing to me, because I don't know what's normal. I don't know if that's a lot or if that's a little, or, so one of the buildings that we certified last year, what they do is they create a comparison of that number to how many flights it would be or how many
Mm.
drives it would be. And by making that comparison, people are like, oh, wow, that's a lot. And then they use colors to say if it's too much or too little or if it's normal.
Yeah, that's something we don't do at the moment. It's just visualizing the data that we get from partners where we integrate with.
Yeah, okay. Maybe an idea for the future.
Yeah.
So let's move to environment then. If we look at environment is about how well can a smart building support the health and well-being of people, right? So it's about your air quality, it's about your lighting, it's about your sound, it's about making sure that the environment itself is healthy, and then giving people kind of guidance of where to go, what to choose, and why they should choose it. So how is Bisner helping on the indoor environment side of things?
Um, well, we give the end user control via the integrations over their unit, so they can set they can set the temperature, the lighting, the blinds. They can all control that. And I think what's important also is that we give them access to the human side of a building, so access to who is in the building, what kind of events are going on, what kind of people are there, and also give them control over the building. So you can easily send in a request if things are not well organized. You can communicate that easily in our app. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's
Yeah.
very
Often people talk about how health and well-being is the air quality and the light and these types of things, but they underestimate the impact of community and the other people and leadership and all of these other things. So I think you touch on
yeah,
a really important piece there.
yeah.
And then
What we try to do.
you guys still show the indoor air quality data and you show that kind of stuff as well, right? I mean, that's in there.
Yeah, yeah, we do. We have that, but I don't believe people look at it all day in the app. I think it's more nice to get updates of what's going on, what kind of interesting events are there. What if you need help, you can reach out to other people. The building is built for people to be productive and happy, right? And
Yeah,
I think you do that with different people, and um, yeah, I think that's an important factor of good, healthy buildings.
yeah, absolutely. And then if we move to safety and security, we talk about physical safety and security, kind of getting
Mhm.
notifications for when things are not
Yeah,
going well, but also cyber. So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit about your guys' approach for that part?
yeah. So we have a lot of data, and we think synchronize a lot of data to other platforms. So we need to focus a lot of our security side.
Yeah,
We tell access control companies like Salto, Brevo, Dome, who can open doors, when they can open doors, and basically why they can open doors. Um, Same for parking. We tell parking systems to open gates. So yeah, what we focus on a lot is we host it in the cloud. We follow all default security standards, and we try to get a certification for it this year as well. Yeah, following all of the processes.
nice. And what do you see as happening in that space in the coming year? I always talk about how in the next 5 to 10 years, that's going to be the biggest topic when it comes to smart buildings, because the more technology, the more integration, the more systems we're putting in, the more vulnerability there is, right? From a
Mhm.
cyber perspective. So, what
Yeah.
do you, with your fingers on the ground at the moment, with all of these smart integrations, what do you see emerging? What we're still missing is that umbrella that kind of covers the entire smart building. Each solution is still working in a bit of a silo, and they deal with their vulnerable spots. But yeah, nobody's really going to take that whole ownership yet.
Yeah, exactly. So we focus already since 2 years on becoming more like a middleware for real estate for the buildings. So where you can connect different tools to, but also we can control like a central identity that we can build these use cases. So if someone sign a contract, we automatically give them access to certain doors, or we provision internet access in the building, or know from their contract that they have on the license plate access to parking. This flows you can't make if you integrate it with all of the different partners. Secondly, what we are now working on is how can we make use of more like an open identity on the internet. So we do connect already with Active Directory, and that kind of open ID is also a thing. But can you use our features and our integrations on our middleware again if you already have other systems live in your own environment? So can you just connect it without doing identity management in our platform at that moment? So that's a big topic we are now working on.
So actually using the other systems as the identity management, and then just facilitating from that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And how and then keeping that secure. How do you do that? It's just encrypted data from end to end, or?
Yeah, there are different protocols for it, but so we have direct integration with Active Directory, so you can manage all of your roles and rights and permissions in Active Directory. And when the connection has been set and provisioned, then this users can also use our tool at that moment. Yeah. But that means also that the administration side of users is then in your Active Directory.
Yeah, which is nice because it's flexible in the sense of if I'm an organization trying to understand how to manage these, I can do it once and I don't need to create it all from scratch each time I have a new system. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you have a security issue again, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Awesome. So the last kind of module before talking about the organization as a whole is user behavior and collaboration. And I think you already touched on that, right? Being able to find the community, being able to find the events, the things that are going on in the building. Hopefully seeing that people are positive and happy and doing good things and happy. What are some other ways that Bisner is used for user behavior and collaboration? So finding each other, but also interacting with the building. And you've already touched on a lot, so maybe it's actually closing remarks on that front. But I think it's the core, right?
Yeah, well, in general, driving engagement in a private environment is very difficult. People are used to LinkedIn, Facebook, and that's where their life is. So our vision or our idea behind it is that we want to connect offline with online and build the environment around it. So you can book your spots, you get access via the app, you drive in with your car, and if you want to control this, we allow you to do that via the app. Secondly, we have the contract data, so that's how we most time get started. But the online offline balance, I think, is very important to drive this engagement. So people start most time what we see when we measure and track communities over time. They start simply by booking a meeting room. They follow the events and the news updates, but over time, after half a year, up to a year, we see that slowly they start to connect. They start to interact and reply on other messages and start to offer. So then it's really building this community. It's hard, but I think it's helpful that our platform provide also the offline and the integration part of it. So you have everything at one place.
Well, I think the need for the app is so key, right? I mean, when you have when you can only get into the room because of your app, then you will use it,
You-
right? And
yeah.
then the engagement comes kind of later, like you said. But what are some advice you would give to somebody who's trying to create community within their in their building or within their space?
Use Bisner. That's the first
What
advice.
works? Yeah, of course. Use Bisner.
uh,
But
exactly.
what are kind of
Uh,
the things that you guys promote often that you say you should do this?
Um, well, start small and then build on top of it. I think that's the best approach. So our platform is completely modular. You can configure it in your own way and don't need all the features in one go. So you can really build it up over time. Have a nice balance between offline functionality and online. And yeah, understand that there are different kinds of people, but really try to tap in the community is what makes it collective. So what we see in campuses and co-working spaces that there is always a certain environment and kinds of people, right? Or maybe more high end. It's different way of communicating than it's a startup environment. So what are the main topics? And um, we are just a service provider in it, and it comes down to what kind of content do you provide? How can you make it interesting? But yeah, I think this is what you have to try to
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah, it's what is the common bond between the people that are there, and often it's the company that they're working for. Like that's a common
Yeah,
bond. But I mean, in a co-working space, everybody's working for something different. So what would be the bond that would bring them together? You know, and I think that that's where you see a lot of success is events that are about startups, scale ups, companies that are learning from each other, these types of things. So I think
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And
yes.
so how do you guys as an organization, what we say, the solution certification goes beyond the technology, right? It's like you said, you're a technology provider for these organizations, but how you guys implement that technology also kind of breeds a bit of culture and a way of working and
Mhm.
thinking about things differently. So what is your service model kind of look like? What is a journey of a customer when they get in touch with you and they work with you? What could they expect?
Yeah, so we will always do the configuration to start. So most time an onboarding looks like this: that we start with a discovery, how many buildings, what type of buildings, location, what kind of tenants, what is how does it look like? What do you want to achieve with it? And then we start configuring it in the platform. And while we configure, we train you on our experience from other communities, but also how we have configured our platform. So once you are done with this discovery and configuration phase, you are completely in control yourself. You can change all the
Yeah,
configurations you like. But then, yeah, we will stay there and share data, tell them maybe how they can improve their communication. So yeah, we try to what we learn from other communities, what went well, and yeah, what we could do better. We try to then give it back to other customers.
yeah, absolutely. Sharing those best practices and learning from each other, making sure that we utilize what we've learned and bring it to the next one. Yeah, really, really amazing. So, so how is it different for a portfolio than a single building? What are you seeing there? Because I think that's important to
Mhm.
note. Is you just kind of threw that in there. You said, how many buildings, and it's
Mhm.
important to know that Bisner's not just for a single building solution, right? You guys are also very much portfolio driven. So how would that differ in your experience?
Yeah. So what we most of say is we an app is more the brand, and within the platform or the community, you can have your different buildings. And of course, you can set who has access to what kind of buildings and what you can see. But I think the most powerful is that you build one community location independent. Even we work for real estate, right?
Yeah.
So and that's what we see in a few of our customers, that we visualize their portfolio in certain areas. They are more focused on the chemical industry, and on others they are more focused on the IT. And we can visualize that based on the data that we have in our platform, and we show that in a dashboard within the app.
Yeah, so like for instance, it doesn't even need to be the owner of a building, right? It can be a tenant that has, like a WeWork or a Regis or one of these types of
Correct.
co-working
Yeah.
brands, and then they can use your app to create that community amongst their brand, and then they can also white label your solution to be completely their look and feel, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the unique thing is we publish really on with your own developer license. So in the stores, and also with the domain name, you will only see your name. That
Okay.
is your app.
Yeah.
So you're not listed with all other apps that we provide.
Yeah.
We really see ourselves as a service provider.
Yeah, it's an incredible one-stop shop in a way that you can create your community and make sure that everything kind of works in the way that it should. Really awesome. Do you have any kind of closing remarks? Anything you want to add?
No,
What
yeah,
are
we are
what are
super excited with the certification that we got, and yeah, we really open to connect with other partners in for the building certificate, with customers, share our knowledge, tips, tricks, experiences what we have, and also happy to learn on from others again.
Yeah, and we're excited as well, right? Because what we always say is that certification is not the goal, right? It's not the end point. Certification for us is the beginning, because once we know what's going on in Bisner and we know how your technology works and how your organization works and what it can actually do, then we can actually help you match make into buildings, into other solutions, into research projects, and all kinds of other things. So we're also really looking forward to what 2023 brings, and see, yeah, how far we can go with this partnership. But yeah, congratulations and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, take care, huh?